I was just going to ask about humans. Were humans created by the spirit of the earth, or were we planted here?
We would say yes and yes, because this is when you must drop back into the oneness, knowing that everything is consciousness. So there was a collective agreement, including that which is Mother Earth, that which is the seed of humanity, and that which is us. That and that is the truth for creation. What you ask is the truth of creation. How does anything come forth? It came forth from consciousness. What is consciousness? Everything. It gets pretty confusing, we understand.
It's very confusing. We're learning.
Let us give you this, Graham. We are dropping a picture into Kelly's mind. There is not a grain of sand or a fleck of dust within the all that does not have within it consciousness that is not part of the one. So when you say, did humans come forth from the earth? It isn't in the way you are thinking. It is a melding of truths. When you think of the concept in your science of evolution and the primordial goo that came up and started to morph, is there slightly little bits of truth in that? Yeah. Is it really how it all works? No. There was the evolution and creation of the planet. Kelly's getting in the way a bit. Give us just one moment. And then the humans were brought here. Those decisions were made, and the variety of humans were determined, the way you look and such. Those were all decisions made by the collective consciousness. Slices, again, it all goes back. It's very difficult for the human mind to understand, but we are all one. Just different frequencies. So those frequencies with the knowing around populating the planet were the frequencies that brought forth. The decisions were made, conversations as such, not really, but conversations were had, decisions were made, and the human species came forth. It is very interesting. We giggle isn't exactly right, but for your understanding, we will use that term when we hear you say how remarkable humans respond to each other in the very slight differences between them. That is so very, very true, but it is also very much a part of the experiment. For us to see, can a species who knows very little different than themselves evolve to the place of oneness with all of the variety that consciousness holds? That is part of the whole thing.
So sounds like part of the Earth experiment and the Earth school is almost as if it's to say make it as hard as possible for humans to be able to uncover what's keeping them in the dark. It almost sounds like it's like the hardest path in order to see if they can become liberated. We've heard Earth described as a school and as the hardest, most difficult school to be in order to learn to manipulate energy. And I guess I'm wondering if you can talk a little bit about that.
It is because of the cadre of emotions that keep you all twirled up all the time. There is some uniqueness to that. And the way you experience time as well. These are things that are specific to the human school, the Earth school. As we explained to the young lady that was searching for home, she did not need to come forth to the Earth school. She was a very evolved soul, but she wanted to for the fun. That which you look at as difficulties, there will come a time that you will look at it much different.
Is that why we're taught non-judgment in order to get past these emotional parts? The non-judgment of things makes it easier to see things the way we're supposed to.
Well, we would not use the word supposed to, but we would say that as you learn to look at the world through the eyes of Source, which means to look at it through a more neutral, allowing, flowing kind of way, that is when you start making progress. There, when you are stuck looking at every situation and writing down and judging it as good and bad and good and evil and pure and blah, 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 it keeps you so confused from what the actual object of the game is. The object of the game is to remember who you are and to start having fun. We describe the Earth School as a playground. We do not do that lightly. When Kelly got the download a few weeks ago, when she spoke to you about it around the idea of the game being done, and then, well, what happens? The lights turn on and then you're just done? No. Once you figure it out, you live out whatever remaining Earth years you have playing the game from that perspective of knowing. And how wonderful it is when things around you have no effect on you any longer. When you can see even those you love having the difficulty, and you know that it is working out for their evolution, and that it is but a blink. What looks like suffering over time is but a blink. And when you have those knowings and those truths and you practice them and you you filter your life through them, you then are going to have that beautiful experience of the oneness and the perfection of the present moment, which is all we ever talk about. You're right. Oh, they always bring it back to that. I really want to know. I'm going to ask my angels to help me to know what do I want to know. So let me just kind of center my energy for just a minute. I just want to ask my guides, my team, my angels to help me be clear, to help me not filter the answer, to let the true answer come through for my highest good. This has been something I've battled my whole life around because of the guilt of childhood or young life and the church and religion and all that stuff. I want to truly know, is alcohol having a negative effect on my life? Is it something that I can still continue to just let go of the flow, or do I need to in some way start trying to gear it back a little bit? Let me just sit with that for just a minute. It all goes down to the human judgment is at the root of this question. You judge the activity of drinking as bad, as wrong. We have no such judgments. There is no more wrongness to the person consuming alcohol as there is to the person taking medication, to the person eating a food, any food in any amounts in any way. There is no different. There are things on your planet that alters your physiology and your thinking and your mind. There are many on your planet who, when that alteration happens, it is not a positive thing for the individual. Your son is such an example. When his body interacts with alcohol, it changes his personality into something that he himself does not like. It is not that we do not like it. We have no judgment of it. But his wife certainly has opinions, and you have opinions, and he himself has opinions about how he acts when he is what you would call under the influence of alcohol. There are lots of substances in your world that have effects on the human. It is up to you to look at the smorgasbord of choices before you in your life and to choose those that are the ones that resonate with you. You are on a path to being your highest self, Kelly. If you were to drink and it made you be a person that did not have the focus of love and light, then we would see why you would have the angst around consuming alcohol. What we see is through your entire lifetime, though you have tortured yourself at length over the years around this issue, you are the same, you have the same heart when you are drinking as you do when you are sober. Your heart is filled with love and light. If you get to a time when that is different, we have no question in our mind that you would step back and evaluate. You do not need to judge yourself because your son is going through this. This is part of his journey. This is part of his learning. This is him choosing to be or not be the best version of himself. You choose that all the time. Yes, you say in your mind, some days you do better than others. Yes, that is part of being human, dear one. There are times when you have the practice of negative experiences, but it is very little to do with alcohol. Might you get braver sometimes and say what you are really wanting to say because you've had the drink? Maybe that's true. But you in your heart know that anything that was said needed saying. So you judge yourself. It is still that training from childhood into the Baptist church that drinking is a sin and makes you less than. Drinking is no different than drinking water, than eating an apple or eating a piece of pie. If you are struggling and miserable and suffering and all of that because of it, then yes, then we would say only from your own human perspective, you might choose to do something different the next time. But if it is something that is just part of your life and lends itself to joy, we would say, stop beating up on yourself about it. Allow yourself to live your life in the way that you are. It is not a wrong thing to experience the relaxation and the ease that comes from having your cocktails. Your only problem with alcohol has ever only been the judgment around it.
Are there
Well,
any
that's
oh, sorry.
interesting. Go ahead.
We're just gonna ask if there's any messages for your son. Don't know if that's
He is an incredibly intuitive man. And because of the sponge that he has suffered in this world. But he chose this path. And you are knowing that more and more every day. You can allow him to succeed or fail as he will, and love him either way. And that is a very wonderful knowing that you, Kelly, have come to in this. It is not easy, dear ones, to watch those that you love go through their life challenges.